to segment 2 of the day, Life Changing Solutions, the show. So as I was mentioning, what I'm about, the personal development and the coaching and all that stuff, something that I get a lot of is either a pushback of, this doesn't work, I tried it, this is all wooey, it's just a bunch of crap. And some of it is. I'll be honest, there's times where I look at people and I'm like, no, don't do that. But the truth is, I really do believe that all of this works if you work it, first of all. Like, that's one of the first things that I tell people. It's like, are you actually doing what it is that you've been recommended to do? So today's segment, I'm calling it Personal Development. You're doing it wrong. Because again, like I said, you got to do what you've been told, right? It's kind of like getting a gym membership and then expecting to lose weight and get all fit, but you haven't been to the gym. No, you got to work it. You got to do what they told you to do. You got to be committed and you got to stick to it. One of the other things that happens is the context changes, right? So if today you're talking to your coach and you're focused on career goals, the context is going to be around career and what it is that you want to do, making money, finances, those kinds of things, right? But then you got the job of your dreams, you started your business, you're doing what you want to do. 2 months later, now you want a girlfriend or a boyfriend or something. You're looking for your significant other. The context has completely changed. Therefore, the tools that you are going to be using are going to change as well. You can't take the same hammer, that you're using to build a career into the realm of relationships and try to be like, knock these women out and be like, hey, you like me. No, it doesn't work that way. You got to learn how to be vulnerable and open and have those different, it's a whole different skill set that you get to tap into. So the context is very, very important. And I have found that a lot of us, what we do is we get stuck, right? We get stuck in that. And it's like, that's one of the reasons why it's not working. Sometimes it may be that, going back to the career example, we could have, worked on career goals. You get the job of your dreams, 5 years go by, and now you want that promotion. Again, the same tools that you learned and that you use to get you the job may not be what you need to get the promotion. So the context, even as similar as it may be, does change. And so you got to change with it. Which brings me to speaking into attachments, right? In personal development, there's a whole bunch of books and a bunch of people will tell you about, different theories and approaches about attachments. This is my little, just quick tip. We get so attached to using those tools that they start to become weapons. Instead of using them to build and grow, what we start to do is that we start to use them to hurt ourselves because we don't want to let them go. So that's also something that you get to pay attention to. But in levels of attachment, right? Because sometimes I use the level of attachment as a way to gauge like how attached are you to something or someone. The closer they are, the greater the attachment will be. An example that I use on that one, if somebody on the street just randomly tells me, starts yelling at me and it's like, oh, you're like this, that, and you're like a fat, blah, 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 right? I'm probably going to dismiss it altogether and not even care and be like, this dude's crazy. Not even really allow anything that he said to me affect me. But if I were to come home and one of my kids says the exact same thing, suddenly I'm going to be hurt. Why? Because I'm more attached to the person that said that to me. Their words, their actions are going to matter way more. Because that's where we also get confused, because it's like, oh, I shouldn't be attached, but yet, this person does this or that person does that. It really hurts, it really bothers. Why? Because you're attached, you're closer to the situation. So going back into the context, right, of the case or the situation, you got to look at that. So in the context of somebody insulting you, how attached are you? How close are you to that situation? And then that's how you address it. You don't always just shrug it off. If your kid's saying you're this, that, and the other, of course you're going to want to address it. So Whereas somebody in the street is calling you something, you're just going to completely brush it off and let it go. So those are just some things for you to consider. Another one, and I hear this a lot, and it bugs me, because the phrase, faking it till you make it, right? So it's like, oh, you got to dress up for the position that you want. You got to fake it. You got to show up in a certain way. You got to, pretend like you're confident, and eventually you're going to get there. I don't necessarily subscribe to that thought. What I believe is really you should feel it until you believe it. When you fake it, it's a sense of inauthenticity. You're already coming off as fake. It's not real. When you're not being real, it creates oftentimes the opposite effect of what you're going for. You're going to be insecure. You're now not going to be confident. Now you're going to be wondering, can they tell? You're going to be so anxiety and worried about something that you're really not going to be able to hone in onto what you really want. Now, if you start to feel it until you truly believe it, that's a completely different approach. Now, what I want to be is in a relationship, I want to find love, I want to have a significant other, right? Oftentimes the reason why we want that is because we want to feel loved, right? We want to have that sense of partnership and companionship, and love is the bigger one. So you don't necessarily have to be in a relationship to feel love. So if you start to feel the love, right, from yourself, and let that be generated from within you, you start to believe that you're loved, giving you permission to find the person that you want to be with. Or even if you are in a relationship right now and things are not working, right, you can go back into that, tap into the love that's generated within you, and people around you will have no choice but to react to that, to you. They're going to accommodate you. They're going to match you. So if you show up being fake, inauthentic, pretending to be something that you're not, people will react naturally to that and not want anything to do with you. But yet if you show up feeling confident, right, feeling happy and cheerful, people will then react to you. And then the very last point on why personal development doesn't work, or you're doing it wrong, is there's a certain harmony, right? I hear this a lot, and this is something that I actually kind of laugh at. You have a lot of people who believe in manifestation, and they sit there and they visualize and they meditate, and there's different ways of doing this, which is great. I love it. I think it's visualizing is super important. It's a starting point. It gets you to see where you want to go. But I've also heard it's like I sat there on my couch and I meditate every day, and I see this beautiful house and it's perfect, blah, 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 but then when I open my eyes, it's not there. Manifestation doesn't work. Well, because you have to put some action into it. One of my mentors says, and I've read this quote a few times, it's vision without action is a hallucination. So what happens is that now you get to see what you want and start taking the steps that will get you to where you want to be. And the harmony comes in is that sometimes you need to go back and forth. I don't even believe in balance, right? So it's not you work 50%, you visualize 50%. No, it's you go back and forth. Sometimes you got to reset your mind and be like, what was I doing? Oh, yeah, right, the house. Let me get back to it. So remember, if you really feel that all these coaches, the self-help books, and all these podcasts that exist, don't work, really take a step back and look at and consider the context, how attached you are to the situation, the way you're using the tools. Are you being fake? And, are you taking the action after you visualized whatever it is that you're going for? So thanks again. My name is Angie Amico. You can check me out on Facebook, Angie Amico, or Life Changing Solutions. See you guys later.